All right, we are back with that Davis show. It's been a minute, and by a minute I mean it's been a week, but definitely here to sit there, talk a little bit of sports, have a little bit of levity, and just chop it up with my guy, executive producer of the show, Ryan Bukoveski. Follow him at Ryan B Ski Ryan B Ski and Ryan B Ski 1 on Instagram. And I'm Kenneth Davis. You can follow me at That's Davis on any and all platforms, unless it's like some super young one that I haven't taken that handle from just yet. I used to go and grab them, but lately I've kind of just like, you kids do what the hell you want to do. All right. But
just laying low for now. That's all.
I'm laying low right now. But yeah, we got to talk about a little bit about jerseys, the City Connect jerseys here. We know the White Sox unveiled theirs last week, and the Cubs have popped out with the Wrigleyville joints this week. Definitely got to talk about MVP chatter, all right, and also definitely the playoffs, what's going on in the NBA. Maybe a little touch on Ryan's pick or my pick for Coach of the Year. We found out that Tom Thibodeau won, former Bulls head coach, 11 years after he won it with the Bulls. He won it with the New York Knicks. So those are just some of the host of things that we have to go over. Ryan, real quick, how are you doing?
NFL news too.
Oh yeah, we do have some NFL news. I forgot about the NFL news. But how you doing, Ryan?
No complaints. I'm pretty happy. Playoffs in the air. We got football talk. I'm happy when we have shows like this.
What's going on in your personal life? Any new dates, anything like that?
No, I'm potentially doing an interim job, maybe not quite step up, but half a step up.
Okay.
But I'll be working from home. I have been actually lately, but I'll be working from home for the foreseeable future, probably for the next month.
Okay. All right, so we can get one of those morning shows in and get this out the way early. All right. So
I don't know about that.
Well, listen, let's go off top.
Off top.
Taking it off the top, the tippy. Oh, my people. All right, let's start off with the City Connect Wrigleyville jerseys. I was reading an article out of the Tribune by Megan. I hope I don't mispronounce this. Megan Montemero. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Megan. If not, please hit me up and let me know what the correct pronunciation is. And you see these joints, these like Marlin joints with Wrigleyville across the top.
Wow.
Yeah. It's supposed to be a tribute to the 77 neighborhoods of the city and I believe the municipalities. But then, the Cubs had to take a shot. This is what was in the article. The reality is we know we have fans beyond. While the White Sox opted for the south side across their jersey, the Cubs didn't consider using the north side on theirs. The reality is we know we have fans beyond the north side. So we just felt like there was a bigger opportunity here to make this about the city, Fritz said. That was never really something we had debated. We always wanted it to be a celebration of all 77 neighborhoods of the city of Chicago, which is a stab.
I don't know. Yeah. Is that a fact or a stab?
No. First of all, the Sox have fans beyond the south side.
Oh, yeah.
I
saw one in North Dakota, believe it or not.
That's what I'm saying. That's a stab. All right. That's what I mean. But then again,
five guys outside of the south side isn't exactly population.
Okay, you can take your little jokes. All right. People from the south side have moved all over the country, if not the world. All right. And also the south side does not include Indiana. That's not.
I'm not saying anyone hasn't moved from the south side. They just immediately lose the Sox when they leave the south side. That's my theory.
Okay. You want to play these games. Okay. Watch yourself. All right. Watch yourself, 2016 Sox, with your little second place to the Brewers right now, because you're going to be looking. Listen, when they blow your motherfucking team up.
All right.
I've been very kind to you on this podcast. All right. So now if you want to start taking those little trivial shots, we could go there if you want to go there. All right. While I'm ascending, while we're growing out here. All right. If you want to take that, but I guess you feel in a certain kind of way. You like those jerseys? Is that the issue?
Tell me you have epilepsy, please.
No, I'm not with that.
Oh, okay.
Damn. But what were your thoughts about the Cubs Wrigleyville jerseys?
I like both sides.
Oh, I'll see. You on that BS?
No.
It just
team specifically.
I'll tell you this. To me, they're both kind of missing something, and I think the Sox are doper. I think they're doper,
yeah.
But I think could have been an added element to make it three-dimensional. I don't look at it. I feel like both are missing just a little bit. I want to say seasoning, but a little bit extra. And I did say this
But what are you going to do? The Sox are white and black. I mean, the Cubs, you could argue with like the red, the white, the blue, and their color
Well,
scheme.
no, the Sox aren't necessarily white and black. You could have went to the old jersey, the Sox jerseys that they wore this past Sunday with the Sox across the chest of the red, white, and blue joints, and you could have done something around that. So you didn't have to. Don't forget they have a red jersey. Like there's different Sox jerseys.
Yeah, but they're primarily their colors are white and black.
Well, I'm just telling you.
And I think they wanted something unique too.
I'm sure they wanted something gangster, which is what they got. All right. But I still feel like it could have been a little bit, there could have been a little bit something extra. And these, this right here, there's nothing special about that.
I guess it's like what I don't like about the Cubs just overall is their uniforms. They only have a white pinstripe for their home uniform. So it's nice seeing another home uniform for me, even if these aren't the best. I just don't like just seeing only white pinstripes.
Okay. So that was my thoughts.
I like how the White Sox have like that mix, the black jersey with the white emblem for the home games, but also the white pinstripe with the black emblem. I like how they have a nice mix of jerseys. I wish the Cubs had more of that.
Well, you should holler at them. Holler at your team.
Try.
Holler at your team when you see me in the streets. Woohoo! Hey, real quick, what'd you think about that Manny Machado home run after Rizzo had dropped that foul ball? Or no, I dropped that out.
I mean, it's kind of one of those classic, like you give up and out, and here's this home run. Like, here we go. But they've just been. They played like everybody except for the Giants. They played them really well at home. They're struggling a little bit on the road, but the pitching just hasn't been there. That's what's killing me.
Yeah, 1-4 right now on the West Coast trip.
Yeah, but it's like the starters aren't really lasting that long. The bullpen isn't been shut down, and that's been the discouraging part because the offense hasn't necessarily been absent. They haven't been in every game, but you're usually getting about 4 runs.
All right. And that's enough for baseball talk on this episode. All right, so listen, switching over because this is going to be NBA heavy. Nikola Jokić won the MVP. If you didn't see this one coming, you are blind as a bat. If you have a problem with this, something's wrong with you. To me, once Joel Embiid went down, and there were certain points that I could still say Nikola over Joel Embiid, especially with the West being more dominant than the East. But with the best record in the East, Joe definitely had his foot firmly put in that door to win MVP. Missing 21 games, and the guy that you're going up against didn't miss games like that. You can't, in my house, you can't win it. Plus the iconic season that Nikola Jokić had, and what he's still doing with Jamal Murray out, well deserved. Well, he's been a top 5 MVP candidate for the last 4 or 5 years. So I'm happy. You hate to see a player as good as him that broke into that echelon of being an MVP candidate and then never wins one. You know what I'm saying? Like Spicy P, not Spicy P, like Playoff P. I'm sorry, I'm getting my P's confused. Paul George with the Oklahoma City year when he was like 3rd. I think one of those years when he was in Indiana too, he was in the top 5 in MVP selection. But I think we all know that Paul George will never probably win an MVP. You know what I'm saying? So, and he's not as deserving as Nikola Jokić with some of his antics either. But still, it's good to see someone break through and finally get one because there's a chance he may never have the opportunity again. So for someone who came to the NBA, bust his hump in the second round, over the last year and a half, transformed his body when the pandemic took place, just to be a basketball savant. Man, hats off to him. Hats off to Arturas Karnisovas for being one of the head scouts over there in Denver with giving input to select him. I like to see it, man. You know what I'm saying? It's nice to see the switch up, not just the switch up off of popularity because it's the taste of the moment, the switch off of somebody who really deserves it. Me personally, I think Steph was killing it, particularly in the second half of this year. But I can't have a team that basically gets into the playoffs through the play-in, and that guy wins the MVP. I know that they broke the rule for Russell Westbrook about 5 years ago when he had the 5th seed in the West, but he had that first triple-double season, which to me, I thought James Harden should have probably won it because I believe that year I think Harden was leading the league in scoring and second in assists that year. But Harden had his team in the top 3 I think it was top 2 in the West. And I think victories plays a part in the MVP. You cannot have a team that's just not overall heavy-handed in being in a superior team in the league and you win the MVP, because I'm just going off of growing up. That's why MJ couldn't get it before. The Bulls said that they could really be winning when clearly he was the best player in the league. And I'm not just using that as a basis. The NBA, before we kind of got a hold of it, I mean, people of our generation, the elk and younger than us, where some things are easy and we don't care as much about some of these traditions. You couldn't be a team that couldn't be a 4th seed or below and win the MVP, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't, you know what I'm saying? So even the year that Oscar Robertson had that first triple-double, he didn't win MVP that year. You know what I'm saying? So I just want people to put it in the proper perspective sometimes when people are like, man, Steph's the MVP. I think LeBron said Steph was the MVP. No, he's not the MVP. And I know you're enticing him with a little carrot if one day he wants to leave and come play with you, since you have to have every great player play with you. But no, Steph had a phenomenal year. Listen, still take your hats off to what Steph did, what Steph reemerged and proved the type of guy he's going to be. And it's funny, I'll go back to a conversation, man, about 5 years ago, me and Tony were having over lunch. And this is when Tony was like, Steph was the greatest player in the NBA. And one of the things I said to Tony, I was like, you know what they really need? They need a player that's a little bit better than Steph, because Steph's going to break down and he needs to be the 2 player, right? And Tony was like, and this is when Tony was full on Steph. He was like, yeah, they really do. And we didn't know Kevin Durant was going to go there. But I have to say, Kevin Durant being there for those years helped you get the Steph that you are now, because Steph didn't have to be the show like he is this season and parts of last season. But yeah, I don't believe that Steph should have won it. I think it should have went to the Joker, so I'm happy with that. But what are your thoughts, Ryan?
Basically echoing your thoughts. Really, congratulations to him. He's such a unique player. Like, he's just so unathletic, but he has this size and this touch, and he's like, maybe not like a Dirk shooter, but he's a really underrated shooter, and just has.
I don't think he's underrated. But continue, please.
But I guess more so, like, I don't know if shooter comes to mind necessarily immediately, but it should with his skill set. Like, it's definitely as powerful as anything that he really has with post moves or his ability to pass and be a playmaker. And he always seems to respond. That's the other thing I really like about him. Like, in the playoffs, there was so many times in the bubble last year, I doubted Denver, and it would be usually Joker and Jamal Murray that really respond and lead that Nuggets team to a victory, to come back in a series or advance, whatever. And even this year, with Jamal Murray being out, Joker for what he's doing, I really believe that if Murray was there, they probably would be in the finals. I don't think there's any question.
I would have them over Utah for me.
Me too.
If they had him, because I mean, when you look at what Michael Porter Jr. is doing now,
right?
It'd be
the Bulls. Oh, I just keep thinking about that lately.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. Yeah, but it would be, especially when you took Wendell Carter Jr.
I know.
It'd be crazy. So I would too. If Denver had its full accoutrement, I'd be like, yeah, Denver. I'm still leaning towards Utah, even though I let the Clippers pull me back in to this BS. I know better. I know, but I'm rooting. My mind is with Utah. All right, my mind is with Utah. A part of me, for some reason, lives in Steve Ballmerville. I think it's Kawhi. It's really Kawhi. You know what I'm saying?
And that's a good reason, just alone, right there.
It's Kawhi. But see, Kawhi has disappointed too at times. I mean, he's a great player, but sometimes the mentality, and I get you can't step outside of yourself, but sometimes you got to step a little bit outside of yourself. You can still be you, but also try to raise the level of those players around you with just not by leading by example. And I have to say this as we switch over into talking about some of the stuff that stood out to us in the playoffs. Last week, and let me preface it with this. We said who we were rooting for, not who we thought was coming out of the East. Because I think we said we thought the Nets. I just didn't want to root for the Nets, is what I said, right? Like I didn't want to root for the Nets. I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for Milwaukee, but it's like they're done. It happened so quick.
Done.
It happened so quick.
Well, it was after that game too, when Harden's out and you just lay an egg like that. It just feels over now. I mean,
totally. And I mean, that point you just made, Harden's. Imagine what they'd be doing if Harden was in there, right? Listen, what KD did in Game 2. Oh my. Ola. Hey, listen, for that layup, that reverse layup. How many people don't think
he's top 5? A top 5
I heard
player?
Somebody say, when it's all over, he may be top 10, and I was like, shit, right? Like what? Like, listen, I'm not even about to pull my 5 out. We know LeBron and Mike is in there. Man, then we got to start talking. Yeah. Right? Like, then we got to start talking, because a 7-footer, dude, he blew his Achilles out, dude. That layup, that reverse layup on the opposite side of the rim. What? Dude, you're not supposed to be able to do that at 7 feet with the handle like that. Dude, no. Listen, it's a difference between, and we fell for it, regular season and playoffs. And him, Giannis blocking his shot in that game, and how he played KD. KD was like, I got you, fool. All right, I got your ass, right? Wait till it's real time, right? Wait till it's really, really real, right? And I think sometimes, even though he was helped tremendously by going to a team that was already a great team, but I think we fail to realize he still went to different levels because they went to the finals and he had been to the finals and he performed on that stage. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's easier when Draymond's the only guy basically you can sync off of. You know what I'm saying? But still, it's the finals. You know, and you're playing LeBron James.
He's hitting the shot over LeBron in that original finals where it steals the finals. It's not like he's hitting that thing over, I don't know, some point guard on rotation or something like that, where it's like, oh, of course Kevin Durant's going to hit that. No, he's pulling up on LeBron.
But LeBron had to stick 5 people and Kevin Durant had to stick like 1. I mean, I'm not knocking J.R. Smith, but I mean, they were dependent on J.R. Smith. It'd be different if it's like J.R. is coming off the bench and he's hot or he's not. But it's like, we need you, J.R.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it wasn't cheating,
but he was definitely performing, like you're saying, in the finals.
So that game right there, man. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what the hell. If Milwaukee can still get their offense going, I don't think they can get it going like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
unless Harden maybe doesn't play the rest of the series or something like that. I don't think
Harden's coming back unless they lose 1 or 2. There's no reason. There's absolutely no reason to bring him back. You listen. You almost, depending on how the first game goes in the Eastern Conference Finals, you may not have to bring him back for a couple of games there because you may be able to pull it off without him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's because that hammy is going to be bad throughout the year. You just hope that it doesn't flare up and he can kind of get through it. But that's a bad hammy right there. That's part of coming into camp not ready. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it was funny and cool, but there is going to be a detriment by showing up to play live professional games and you're really not in the type of tip-top shape that you're usually in. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, that the fact that Mike Boldenholz's a brother, you better figure something out.
Oof.
All right, you better.
Job is on the line.
Listen, did Jason Kidd pull pull out from the Portland gig because he's trying to go back to Milwaukee? Like, man, I'm telling you what I would have done, right? But like, I'm just saying, like, there's some other gigs out here, man, and like right now, goodness gracious. So that series definitely stands out to me. From it's just goodness gracious. What has stood out to you so far in the second round?
Yeah,
if not the first 2.
Besides that disappointing series that the Nets and the Bucks have become, I guess I'm a little intrigued by the other series because Joel Embiid is playing in this game against the Hawks and they're beating them. So does that mean Atlanta's just done now that Joel Embiid's back?
What's the score? You see the score right now?
93-84 with about the full fourth quarter left to go.
No, that game ain't over yet with what Atlanta could do.
No, but it is not looking good.
Okay. I mean, but still, even with that, you're talking about it being tied 1-1 and it's about to go back to Atlanta. You know what I'm saying?
Would you just think with Joel Embiid back and playing well, does this mean it's pretty much like not necessarily doomsday for Atlanta because like you said they can play really well and shoot really well, but does this shift the 76ers as the favorite now?
No, because Joe has to stay healthy. I don't know if you saw game 1, he came down. Sometimes it's like, what do you do? Listen, I'm happy he goes all out at times, but it was for a putback. I think he was trying to put back Dunker to grab the rebound. And it was like, dude, you cannot come down so uncoordinated is the word that I'm looking for. And one, because you're a hell of an athlete, but two, dude, you're 300 pounds. You're too big for that. And when he came down, when I saw it live, I was like, damn, he didn't need to go get that one. That's what I said out loud to myself. Like, he didn't need to go get that. And at that point, I didn't know he kind of triggered it again a little bit. But it's Joe. Is how healthy he's going to be. Also, man, listen, it depends on the role players with the Sixers, and by real role players, and I mean, he shouldn't be listed as a role player, but I'm talking about Tobias Harris and Dennis Green, because it's going to be about one, Harris being the guy that can get it from anywhere, Green being a defensive guy that if it's him or Ben Simmons playing Trae Young, can slow Trae Young down, but also knock down some open threes, because I think they're going to have to be able to score with Atlanta and also hope that Embiid stays healthy. That's just one of those things about Embiid. I was thinking this last week about came to see Wiggins, stayed for Embiid, thinking about those old Kansas, that 1 year at Kansas. I shouldn't say old Kansas time, but I just remember watching them, like when I first came to see Wiggins, like, okay, I'm check this Wiggins kids out. I'm like, who's in bed, right? Like, who is in bed? This kid has got some dream on him, right? I remember thinking, like, who's in bed? Like, whoa, this kid could be number one. Like, I just remember, talking to D about it and we came on the show, and he had said the same thing. So yeah, I mean, I root for Joel, but that health issue is definitely something. I'm not right now going to hands down count out Atlanta, but I mean, to be honest with you, and I mean, seeding is one thing. Atlanta, after Nate McMillan took over, got to this point where there was a 4th seed in the East. But Embiid has powered them, and also when he got hurt, to the number 1 seed in the East, and they should beat them. You know what I'm saying? And I hate to see Doc go out like that. So I'm definitely rooting for the 76ers, because at least I would prefer to see the 76ers versus the Nets. Because even though you can say shooting wise, maybe Atlanta's not ready for the skill set of the Nets. You know what I'm saying? That's like a year or two off. And I'm not saying they'll ever be ready, but they're not ready for just the basketball IQ that the Nets are putting out there right now. With only 2 of their players, you got savants out there, man. You got some of the most brilliant basketball players in a generation, if not ever. And I don't think Atlanta's ready for that type, because these dudes didn't even get any rec with each other. And it's just like, we know this game. We're about to show you what the hell we can do. So like, I hear some people saying that. I don't see it myself.
What about out west? Because I mean, the series, Utah and Clippers starting tonight, like that one, when you ask me what intrigues me, like I'm ready to be intrigued by that one. Like, I think that's my most anticipated series right now, because I don't know about you. Maybe we want to start on the other side with Phoenix and Denver. I think Phoenix is probably going to win, but it depends on DeAndre Ayton and how well he plays. I really like Denver, though. I mean, I picked Denver initially because of their size inside. I think it's going to be a problem for Phoenix and their ability to score. But
I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I guess, do we think that Clippers Jazz series has the best chance to beat the Nets, or is there a team in that Phoenix?
I think, to be honest with you, I think, man, that's a hard one, because see, this is the thing. We thought when the Clippers was getting together, they was gonna have these two wing players that can go both ways and be able to lock teams down. The only reason they beat Luka because he had a pinched nerve and he was out. He's not in elite superstar shape yet. You know what I'm saying? Also, he has to do too much of the heavy lifting by himself. You know what I'm saying? Because the Porzingis thing isn't going to work. Let's just be honest. It's as far as Porzingis being his number 2.
Yeah, he's coming to Chicago.
I hope not. If Porzingis is his number 4, they cooking with grease. You know what I'm saying? Or even, I would say even number 3, but really his number 4. He needs to be his number 4. Or the number 4 on the team, I should say. But the fact that they've had so many problems back to back with Dallas in the playoffs, I know they got past them, but that is alarming. It seems like they always have to, and this happened last year because of Dallas. They always have to play to their backs to it, and then they get past it the first time, and then they have to do it again against Denver, and they don't have enough to try to do the same ish against Denver. So against Utah, that lane isn't going to be the same with Rudy Gobert down there. And neither one of us are Rudy guys, the Stifle Tower guys, but he's a better player this year than he was last year and than he was the year before. You know what I'm saying? With his infectious self. Donovan Mitchell.
Got to give him that.
Yeah, and he's a lob master. You know, he's a better offensive player. He'd never be a guy that you really like clear out the deck and give him the ball, but still.
Not even
Donovan Mitchell is freaky deaky, and his outside shot is getting wetter and wetter by the year. You know what I'm saying? Like that, the comp with D Wade is one thing, and D Wade is better, but the fact that he's a better shooter than D Wade ever was, you know what I'm saying? I
love that comp, by the way. I don't know if he's as good as Dwayne Wade, but he has like that same kind of flash and style as Dwayne Wade.
Well, I'll give Wade on this one. Wade's a better defender than Donovan Mitchell will ever be, and actually blocker, which is weird to say for a guard. But what were you about to say?
No, I really like what you're saying, because as much as Utah doesn't look like this team with a bunch of scoring options, and that's in today's NBA, usually looking for the teams with who's got like Brooklyn, multiple options that you really look at. But I think Utah's dangerous as hell.
They don't have enough. Listen, they didn't fall when Mitchell was out. You got Mitchell, you got Gobert as the 4th, you got the 6th man of the year and Jordan Clarkson putting up 20-something. You got Ingles, Bogdanovich. Dude, I think they straight. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not out there. Like they got some dudes over there, and they got a hell of a coach in Quinn Snyder. Like I said before,
they can play so big. Like their size can really wear you out.
Derek Favors. Yeah, dude. If you want to go big with them, they can go big with you. But I don't have anybody flat out beating Utah this season. That's just facts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't have anybody where I'm like, nah, Utah can't step up to that. Utah has played enough through this year where we could take away that, they legit. You know what I'm saying? And listen, if Donovan Mitchell is healthy and hot, watch out. All right, I'll tell you that much. Watch the hell out. Now, Phoenix and Denver, I'm not saying Phoenix is taking that series hands down, because that's the point. It's just
how many times did we say that last year with Denver, and how many series, and they made it tough on every single team that they played.
And this is without Jamal Murray. But this is the thing. If Chris Paul was healthy, I'd be a little bit more like, I'm going to lean towards Phoenix. Man, Chris Paul shoulder can go out at any damn time. Anytime. And that's another game and a half, or a game where he's not right. And then maybe the game is overlapping 2 games. You know what I'm saying? But at any point, that shoulder can go out, and it takes away their second best player. You know what I'm saying? Like, definitely Devin Booker's their best player, but Chris Paul.
Well, it takes away the maestro of the offense.
Yes. That the coach on the floor, the maestro of the offense, the leader, takes the leader off of the court. And you just can't have him out there when he's not right, because teams can sag on him. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to play him honest. They're not worried about him necessarily getting to the cup. So I'm not, I wish, now mind you, I wish I can be like Chris Paul and Phoenix are going deep. You know, I root for Chris Paul to get him one day. You know what I'm saying? Like he's deserving of having one. But I don't know, man, because Denver, nobody thought Denver was going to be able to hold on after Murray went down the way that they held on so far to the 3rd seed in the West.
But I just love that the Gordon, Jokić, Porter, that size, that's just going to be a problem for teams. And especially it's like outside of Joker, that's a ton of athleticism that you got to deal with. And they're not a great defensive team, but they find a way to get enough stops and they rebound so well that they really give themselves a chance. And I love the versatility of players that they have. It's just, do they have enough punch if, let's say, Phoenix, you're getting some of those supporting guys like Mikal Bridges and some of these other players because Devin Booker's bringing it. And if Ayton to me is the big guy. If he is basically making it a wash with Joker, I don't know how Denver, it's going to be really tough unless Chris Paul, like you said, unless that shoulder goes out. If he can manage to stay along the train and DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker are playing that well, it is going to be tough, I think, for Denver to win.
I'll say this. Ayton has to prove to me for a series he can go at Joker.
Hey, I'm not predicting it. I'm just saying if he can do it.
Of going at Joker. He can, but can he consistently do it?
Because I think Joker's got his number game too, personally.
Yeah,
I think Joker's coming hard.
And I mean, there's even, let's just say if they average the same amount of points, the same amount of rebounds, it's still not putting into the effect that Joker has running the show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Orchestrating everything.
Guard, basically.
Yeah. So like that, it's still not, you have to take that into consideration too. He has a lot more on his deck when we're like he's playing Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, basically. You know what I'm saying? The Joker is, if we're just using that from the team, those two teams in that series. But yeah, I have to see it. I'm leaning towards Denver, but I would love to see the Phoenix Suns pull it off. I root for Monty Williams. I would have had, real quick, switching over to something else. I want to do Coach of the Year before we get out of the NBA. I would have had Monty Williams as my Coach of the Year, but the problem is Chris Paul. That's the only reason I would have had him as my Coach of the Year. With Tibbs getting it, I guess. I'm trying to think who else I would have had that would have rivaled.
Steve Nash even consider?
No.
What about Doc?
Doc should be a good one, but the problem with Doc, that team was good before. You know what? Who won it last year?
Oh boy, it wasn't Vogel, was it?
Yeah, Vogel won it last year, right? I think Vogel did win it last year.
But what about Quinn Snyder?
That's what I was going to say. If Quinn Snyder, the point I was going to make, if Quinn Snyder didn't win it last year is why I asked you, because I'm drawing a blank and I shouldn't draw a blank on that. But if he didn't, with Utah being the number one seed in the West, I kind of feel like perhaps it should have went to Quinn Snyder. But I get the fact that you look at Thibs doing something that no one expected, particularly this year. And I know they do. They select the Coach of the Year and all these awards in the regular season or by the end of the regular season. But for that Knicks team to basically fizzle out in the playoffs like it did, it kind of feels like the proof's in the pudding. He probably shouldn't have won Coach of the Year. So that would make me go with Quinn Snyder, followed, to be honest with you, by...
Sorry, it was Nick Nurse last year.
Okay. Yeah, because that team played that well. I think we had Nick Nurse winning it on the show now.
We love Nick Nurse on this show.
We do. But I would want Nate McMillan to win it, but he wasn't there long enough. Because that's kind of who I lean towards Nate McMillan. But if I say that, okay, an MVP has to play so many games, I don't know if I could give it to a coach that wasn't there for the entirety of the season, even though he was the fulcrum that got them to where they are now because they were out. Dude, remember I said that Trae Young was my dark horse to win the MVP at the beginning of the year. That ish looked crazy as hell with what was going on down there until Nate McMillan got his butt down there after Indiana, and let him go like it was his fault that you guys only want to have, like, we want players that's like around the top 20, maybe two players that are like from 15 to 25 on our team. Dude, I know this is on a side tangent. Whoever is from Walsh to Pritchard to Bird, whoever is in charge of Indiana at one point, when you have a Paul George or you have I always forget the guy that was the Indiana small forward before Paul George, when Paul George first came on, that was killing, and then he ended up getting hurt. But when you have those type of players, when you have a Sabonis, right, at one point you're going to have to put that guy and another guy together and go get a stud. Now, Paul Pierce has been the closest thing they had when he was there as a stud, but you can't just use these players that are like, from luckiest, Paul Pierce was in the top. I mean, Paul George was in the top 10 at one point when he was in Indiana. But you're gonna have to move those guys to get someone that can really be the difference maker to get you guys to the finals. Because you put it on Nate McMillan, there's only so much Nate McMillan can do when you don't have superstars on your team, man. That's just the truth in the NBA. There's only so much.
And he's so great at building a team, getting them to play tough defensively, physically, mentally tough. Like, the only thing holding him back is supposedly not winning enough playoff series. So I'm glad he's winning with Atlanta, and I feel like he's a perfect fit for that team.
Totally. I'm trying to right now look up, because it always Danny Granger. I always sleep on Danny Granger. You got to package those cats up. Danny Granger was balling for a quick second, before he got hurt. But like, you can't. I know you fall in love with these guys, but at one point you have to know the error of your ways. If y'all gonna win a championship, you're gonna have to get in a situation with, like, and this is they're a better run organization, but like what Sacramento did with Chris Webber, you're gonna have to trade for stud and convince him to stay there because he likes the market, and that way you can have plenty of bites at the apple, like that Sacramento team did. Some people say they got screwed over by the refs, but in general, they had plenty of bites at the apple. You're gonna have to do something like that. But getting back to Coach of the Year,
I like Quinn Snyder. I mean, Tibbs, like, fourth seed. It's just a fourth seed in the East. It's like you just said with the MVP, top 3 or less. Or I'm sorry, you have to be 3, 2, or 1 within your seeding. Like, if you're the fourth seed, I mean, it'd be one thing if, let's say, they should have been the number 1 seed, but they lost their best player for the year and they were able to still get the fourth seed. Okay, maybe then I'd have some kind of conversation with that. But the fourth seed, just because the Knicks aren't dog trash, so that's why Tom Thibodeau gets it. Like,
they were better than not dog trash, though, right?
But that's what I'm saying. They
haven't been to the playoffs in 13 seasons.
Man,
they have been to the playoffs.
When's the last time Utah was number 1? Yeah.
I would say
it's got to be late 90s, right?
Yeah, it has to be when they played the Bulls in the finals.
So when Snyder's breaking records here, who cares about New York?
And it's in the West too. I know what you're saying. It's in the West. So I mean, props to him. Definitely props to him. But hey, ish happens, man. You can't get everything the way that you want to get.
Good for Tom, but I mean, just not deserved, in my opinion.
So not then
on Tom's part, though.
Okay. So another thing that last year on here, I remember saying that I don't want my finals without LeBron, at least not to the conference finals. Like I needed to legitimize it, but also I needed to see it. I love LeBron James. Let me lead with that. I'm happy he's not here. All right. One, I didn't think the Lakers could win it at the beginning of the year, just because I felt like attrition was going to set in place. Like it had to, because one, we all know Anthony Davis, and LeBron did what he did last year. So, and he doesn't ratchet it down enough. He doesn't take games off really unless he's injured. So even when they were playing well the beginning of this year, people were like, "Oh, the Lakers are going to run away with it again." I was like, I don't think so. I think it just, to me, it last year was going to be the clearest bite at the apple unless they get somebody else in there to make it a big 3. If they don't get someone in there to make it a big 3, they're not getting to the finals again unless the two other teams are significantly hurt by injuries. I don't know which teams out west, but it's going to take 2 other teams to have their star player out for the Lakers to pop up with AD's injury history.
They're recruiting already.
Yeah, but I mean, who can you get? I mean, and where's the cap? I mean, I don't know their cap ramifications with Dennis Schroeder, as far as if he leaves, if they still have $80 million there, because since they have his rights, they can go further into the cap. You know what I'm saying? As far as, so I don't know if Schroeder leaves, they still have a spot where they can at least give some star player decent enough money, $20 million a year. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how that works. I feel like they may be capped out to a certain degree, but you would think they should still have a one last one, because usually you can run with 3. But I feel like they sparsed that money out when they were filling this team out this past season. So with me, it's fine that Bron's not in there. Now that's not to say I don't want to see Bron in the playoffs and go deep again. But it's like I'm good. Last year I think was the premier, maybe the season before, and then last year accentuated it, was where you started to see like, and we said it on here, the league's gonna be fine. They're in good. The league is in good hands. You know what I'm saying? Like the NBA is in some pretty darn good hands. So I'm definitely I'm feeling it. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling that. You got none of the teams that are in the playoffs in the playoffs right now have been in the playoffs have made it to the finals since the league went to 16-team playoffs. None of these teams, which is crazy. Well, outside of Utah. Yeah, right. Yeah, Utah and Philadelphia. Philadelphia. You know what I'm saying? So look, I'm feeling it. It's entertaining. Listen, he's out of the playoffs. Looking at that damn closeout game by the Clippers against Dallas. Luka, like Luka, right? The NBA is in some really nice hands moving forward. So it's good to see some fresh faces in there and guys going. You still have your old guys. You still got KD in there. You still sitting. You have Kyrie. If he's healthy, yeah, Harden. You know what I'm saying? You still, I was going to say Kyrie. Thank you. You still got guys that there's a familiarity with now. Even Denver was there last year. Utah was there last year. You know what I'm saying?
Chris Paul is one of those familiar names too.
Yeah. So, and even though he usually gets hurt to the point he can't come back, I love to see him gutting it out the way that he is. But yeah, man, I'm definitely feeling it entertaining. I don't need any LeBron James. What about you?
Yeah, I echo the same thing again. To me, the NBA, it would be so great if we could ever get to the point where you have like, I would say 3 or 4 teams in each conference that were legit title contenders. So just kind of seeing new blood, fresh faces, while still having like a lot of star power. And there's a lot of different types of teams out there. I mean, we were just talking about it, how Utah is different from what the Clippers do. And we know that Philly or Atlanta is going to be completely different than Brooklyn. So, I mean, it's fun seeing like, it's that boxing, whatever you call the
styles make matches.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm excited to just see how it kind of breaks down. I just really hope that we get a lot of dramatic series moving forward.
Real quick side note, speaking of boxing and styles making matches, what was your thought of the Mayweather, whichever Paul brother that was?
Well, you got to save that up for grabs.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if it was up for grabs. I apologize. I didn't know.
Well, that's
I
disrespected you. That's not an apology.
I disrespected you up for grabs.
That's just a tease right there. That's
getting back to the NBA. Something. Listen, I talked about it last week. I'm not rooting for the Nets. I love the Nets. I love the players on the Nets. I love KD and James Harden, and I think Kyrie is the greatest ball handler of all time. You know what I'm saying? To be honest with you, that's only one skill. Not talking about his other skills. But can anybody beat the Nets if they're healthy? And the answer is hell no. You know, when you throw that much talent together, you know what I'm saying? What did you think was going to happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not even, listen, this isn't even LeBron and D Wade where they had to figure out, because their skill set is similar, even though D Wade is smaller, whose turn it is or how to play with one another. This was Kyrie like, hey, no, you run the point, Harden. I'll play off guard basically, but I'm shooting, right? Like I'm gonna play off guard, but I'm going for mines. They're not in the way of each other because of how skilled they are and how high their basketball IQ is. And I'm not taking anything away from the Beatles, but dude, this is fucking ridiculous. And I mean, they haven't even played together. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only thing I think is going to hurt the Nets is really Kyrie's interest in the NBA in the future. That's when I think about the Nets. I'm like, it really just depends on if Kyrie is. And I don't even want to say focus on. Well, yeah, focus on basketball, focus on other things that he deems important. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing outside of injuries that I can see stopping the Nets from getting 2 out of 3 at least in the next 2 years. Because if Kyrie is all in, oh, lordy. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously. Like, that'd be, if he was in more than he's in now, oh, goodness, right? Like, don't let world peace happen because Kyrie's going to be busting y'all ass from left to right. So, no, I don't think anyone can beat the Brooklyn Nets. That's why I wasn't rooting for them. And the heavy is the hand. But listen, even with the hand being heavy, it's still so entertaining. And sometimes, man, you love seeing the cheat code being administered. That's just the truth of the matter. Sometimes you love.
And I think it's specialer, too, with Kevin Durant leading the cheat code, too. It's something extra with that cheat code. When Kevin Durant's
with the spice. You see that spice he put on Jay Williams?
My style.
I was watching, I think The Jump today. And they had on Low, and they had on RJ. And neither one of them wanted to say anything that was a little bit off-putting about KD because of that heat that he sent Jay Williams' way. Right? Like, basically, and if anybody doesn't know, Jay Williams came out and said that he was talking to KD one day, and I'm paraphrasing, and he mentioned he was comparing Giannis Antetokounmpo to Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant told him, "Shut your ass up! Don't you ever compare him to me?" And I'm paraphrasing that. And KD came out and said, "Man, keep my name basically out of your mouth. I never said that shit to your ass, and you seeking clout being a reporter now, whatever, something like that." And you could see people was like, "I'm just gonna lean off of KD right now," right? It was just like, "I'm just gonna." KD has put. His troll heat is so high. Somebody asked him, I don't know what the reporter was after the game yesterday, did you ever see yourself getting back here? And it's like, dude, you know damn well not to ask KD that question, right? Like, common sense. You know not to say that to him. And he was like, what do you want me to say? Right? That was his first answer. He said, man, that was 2 years ago. Like, yeah, like he was about to say, I'm Kevin Durant. Like what he said to Malik Andrews, like, I'm Kevin Durant. It was like, he is right. He's Kevin Durant, right? Like, he was about to drop that on him, and you can't argue with KD because of what you can't argue with KD because of how great he is, but I think sometimes, and you look at the physical gifts that he has, and you don't think about the time that he spent in honing his craft to get there like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things you have to give him props to too. But yeah, I don't have anybody. If KD is healthy, really, if KD and Kyrie is healthy, they good to go. Don't let all three. Dude, think about this. Think about what James Harden is going to try to do next year with how he comes into shape. Trying to make one for him. Even we know he deserves it this year. But don't think he's not going to come in and be like, yeah, I'm coming for mines next year and doing this. Like, it's nothing, I don't think, outside of them not getting along and Kyrie losing interest that can stop them. And injuries. Injuries always the first thing off. I mean, this is another factor. Steve Nash going to be a better coach next year than he is this year.
Right.
Period. As the city girls would say.
Well, let's forget this basketball talk. I want NFL speculation now. Let's move over.
Speculation.
What do you want to start? The trade or the madness?
Let's get with the trade because he went to the team I didn't want him to go to.
What?
Yeah, dude. I'm not the Ryan Tannehill dude. First of all, I love Julio Jones. And I would have preferred him, even though Ryan Tannehill is better than this player now, I would prefer to have seen him in the future with Trey Lance because I know that Kyle Shanahan was going to get him some shots. And you got Greg Kittle right there and Deebo Samuels. I would have liked to see him out there, and I would have liked to see him with the Patriots, regardless if it was Cam, if it was Mac Jones. I would have liked to see him, and I want to see him places where he can contend for a championship. And first of all, I don't think their offense is going to be that different from what it was last year as far as how they were with Arthur Smith, who's now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. But I think I saw something. Chris Tannehill was like 15th in the league in deep passing last year. And these are two of the top deep passing receivers in him and A.J. Brown. And I mean, Julio Jones, I don't know if I said it enough, Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. I just think I see on paper why people like it, but I think the quarterback situation dictates that it's going to be a cap on the success that team's offense can have. Now, that cap may not stop them from going deep into the playoffs because you got Derrick Henry back there. And you can't – how are you going to play 8 in the box with Julio Jones and A.J. Brown out there to try to stop Derrick Henry? And the play action is going to be vicious. But still, Ryan Tannehill is the head of the snake. And regardless of how well he can play at times, I never look at him as being a guy that we can depend on if things aren't going well to raise his game to elevate the rest of the team.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you on Ryan Tannehill because I do feel that way. I feel like as good as he can be at times, I mean, if you get down to some of these final teams in the AFC, like, is he beating Patrick Mahomes? Now, I will say the Titans give themselves a really great chance this year if they can stay healthy of being a really good team because of what you just said. That because Vrabel is going to run the rock with Henry, and you got A.J. Brown on one side and Julio on the other side. I mean, that's going to be really tough on defenses because you can't just let them have no help over the top on both of those guys. And like you said, how are you going to keep 8 in the box against Derrick Henry? And we talk about it all the time. If you have that commitment to a guy like him in the fourth quarter, you don't want to touch that dude. You don't want to touch him at all. And if this Titan squad really what held them back defensively was they couldn't really pass rush to save their lives. If they can figure out that, I mean, they just have such a collection of talent. I could see them being in an AFC championship game again. Maybe not getting to a Super Bowl because they're going to have to go up against Baby Goat. But I could see them getting there because of how complete their team is right now.
No, I'm not saying he was a world beater on that team, and we know he's more of a run stopper than a pass rusher. But even think about this: they don't even have Jadeveon Clowney on that team anymore. Just saying from on the defensive side of that ball. I mean, just saying, I think Mike Vrabel's a really good coach, but I don't know. And the real reason I don't know is Ryan Tannehill. You know what I'm saying? Because I use this player a lot. I think his ceiling. I say his ceiling, meaning he's not on this dude's level. I think his ceiling is Delhomme. You know what I'm saying? Jake Delhomme. I think that's his ceiling.
So do you think he could get him to a Super Bowl?
It depends on how Kansas City's playing that day. You know what I'm saying? Because any team can get beat. You know what I'm saying? Just have a bad day, start off bad, and you have enough of a head start that Patrick Mahomes can't run you down. He doesn't have one of his best games.
How about if it's the Titans versus the Buccaneers and Delhomme versus Brady, part 2? Except it won't be Delhomme, it'll be Ryan Tannehill.
The problem would be, who do the Titans have to get at Brady to get him off that spot? You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, you don't even have to sack him, but you got to get him off. You got to get him off the spot. You got to get Brady moving his feet, not feeling comfortable. And that's easier said than done. You know what I'm saying? And that's with 2 nice ends. You know what I'm saying? Or decent enough ends, or an end and a tackle. I mean, or end in some type of some tackle. Like who? When you look at that team, who do they have that you're like, okay, now when you're sending it, because what you're gonna have to send some extra and leave somebody open for Brady. Well,
they're hoping to develop some guys, but you're right, nobody's proven there, so it's all a giant question mark right now.
And I mean, and the crazy thing is, we're talking about a team that basically should be a defensive team that has these elements on the offense, because that's kind of how they're built. They're built to be a run team that uses play action, keeps the ball out of the other team's hands by playing good enough defense. I wonder, is their defense going to have the other team's offense out there a lot more often? Well, one, have their own offense out there, I should say, a lot more often, because there's 3 and outs, and leave their offense out there too long. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one of the things that I'm just worried about and looking and seeing, like, is this necessarily going to work? I would have wanted to see Julio go somewhere where their hand is fuller, looking at all the free agents that New England brought in, plus the coaching, looking at the fact that the 49ers weren't healthy last year, plus the coaching. Looking at, even if you were trying to wine and dine, and I'm not saying he's going to come back there, and we're going to talk about in a second, Aaron Rodgers, and then you bring him in there with the quarterback and the coaching in LaFleur. Like, these are some of the places that I would have loved to see Julio end up. Tennessee, a city that I love, that I planned on going to school and rooting for the Titans. Not saying I was going to put them over the Bears, but I had a huge Titan hankering when they first came in.
Aaron McNair for me.
Aaron McNair, you know what I'm saying? Going back to Warren Moon, but Aaron McNair. So I was the Oilers guy that went with him, basically. So I'm not rooting against them because I like the organization. I even like Guppy back in those days, right? I wanted him to come back and coach the Bears, but pause, I'm good. But and Fisher. But no, I just think he should have went someplace else. Now the thing is, another team may not want him, and plus with those players recruiting him, he may have felt like this was his best option. But I would have liked to see him go someplace else, or you know what? I may have wanted to see what that and I know they couldn't afford him, what that Falcons offense was going to look like with him, Pitts, and Roll Tide Riley. So it's just when I knew kept hearing, when I first heard Tennessee was a team, I was like, man. Then it was the 49ers. Then last week it went back to Tennessee, and I was like, oh, it's going to be Tennessee. And it's just like I want to see him with somebody. First of all, a coordinator. I don't know this coordinator that they have now. I want to see him with a coordinator / coach, offensive coach that I knew can help him even flourish in his latter years of his career, Julio Jones.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hearing the news, Julio to Tennessee wasn't very exciting. I think it really helps Tennessee, but I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders out of the AFC. I think like the two AFC championship teams from a year ago, and the Chiefs and the Bills, more than I like the Titans. But
And don't forget the Browns. You gotta we talking about defense. Talking about defense. Not even talking about offense. Look at the defense now.
Myles Garrett,
Jadeveon Clowney. You got Craig Newsome now going with Denzel Ward on the other side. Like, dude, all right, like that's looking. And I'm not even the Browns dude. I don't believe in the Browns because I think it's Baker. To me, it's always on Baker. You know what I'm saying? Like, what type of Baker you're going to get? But still, talent-wise, they're not even in the realm of the Browns. We're talking about the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see because I think they have a formula that could be very effective. They got to make sure that they can execute that formula, and we both have our doubts about that.
And this is another thing. Let me finish it with this. Speaking about the Browns, the Titans have the better running back in Derrick Henry. But when you have Chubb and Kareem Hunt, I mean, look what Chubb did coming back from injury last year, right? So you got two. So if one of them was injured last year, and look how well they played with just Kareem Hunt, right? What the hell do you do if Derrick Henry goes down? Because he's a running back. I love him, Roll Tide. I love him. He's a running back, and a physical running back. What happens when that DB takes that angle in at his leg just out of fear that he's not going to get stiffed on into hell? You know what I'm saying? Or next week, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot depends on your running back. Like, how many teams in the NFL right now, offense is predicated based solely off of one running back in the running game? Not to say they don't need the running game or it's factored in, but it's based off of one. Like, you look at the 49ers, dude, they'll throw anybody ass back there. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kyle Shanahan's going to get some. It's just like his father did in Denver, right? You'd be like, who was that guy that just ran 4,000 yards, right? Like, it's like that. But you when you're talking about, it's predicated on one sole running back being the feature, not like we got a tandem, whatever. You asking a lot, and it's a lot. They've taken a lot. Listen, he trains his ass off in the offseason, but Derrick Henry's taking on a lot too.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's a great point. If they had maybe that second complementary piece, there's one thing. But yeah, if Derrick Henry goes down, you start really worrying because you can't put it on Ryan Tannehill to do it.
Mm-hmm.
How about Green Bay?
I'm so sick of this. This has been the lowest hanging fruit of all hanging fruits. We ain't got nothing to talk about.
I freaking love it.
We ain't got nothing to talk about. Let's talk about Green Bay.
Come on, Jordan Love with the ones does nothing.
Jordan Love on a fourth down reportedly sails a pass. Like, why did you trade up for him, dude?
I know. I'll never understand.
And listen, I want the Bears to get Jordan Love, but it was because I'm quarterback thirsty here in Chicago, right? I'm a dude in the desert.
I didn't like him as a prospect, to be honest. Like, I could see him becoming good, but he wasn't a guy I was drooling over.
But our guy, that was the comp with Trey Lance.
Yeah.
was Jordan
But he
Love.
was no Trey Lance in my world.
But dude, I mean, man, you could have saved all this. I get trying to jump on it early. Dog, you knew that you had 3 more years at least before you're supposed to draft a quarterback. 3. Because of how good. I don't care. You knew physically how well that your quarterback could play.
And to trade up.
That's the kicker. That's
like
the
if he's on the clock, okay. Hey, we really like this guy. We should really wait till next year before we draft one, but he's here right now. Okay. Not, Indy's about to take him. We better go.
Mm-hmm. Dude, so listen, just get over. No. Sit there and stand pat. All right. First see if he comes to training camp. And then see if he comes.
That's the day. Because I guess you know the rules with the CBA.
They can start the mandatory camp starts in about.
Well, they could find him right now.
Yeah, that's what to say. They can find him,
but they're probably not going to. But
you don't want to do that.
Training camp, you have to. It's in the CBA. You have to find the player, non-negotiable. You have to fine them $50,000 a day for not being there.
Listen, you can test this market if you want, but you know this ain't the man for you to kind of do that to.
But does it seem like Aaron is like he's trying to get out? It just seems like he doesn't want to be there. He's not really trying to get out.
What makes you think he's not trying to get out?
Well, it's more so like there's no reports on trades. There's no real communication on anything. It doesn't.
But it's Aaron. Listen, he's talked. His agent has talked to teams about a chronic group chat and growth. People have gone through back channels to talk to his agent. Would he want to play it? Because you got to find out if he wants to even come there before you try to make a deal for him. So best believe, dog, don't think Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock being still the quarterbacks in Denver.
I understand, but you're not hearing about anybody else.
You don't think Chucky has went and inquired about that? Especially
do they even have the assets? They don't even want the quarterback there.
I'm just saying. So, I mean, I think. Listen, I think there's more than just naming those 2 teams. Teams that have, you know, what I'm saying, sit there.
Well, look at Miami. Why wouldn't you give up like everything with the draft picks, the young players, and get Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I got to find out though.
Package right there.
I got to find out what Tua is about before I make that move, though. You know what I'm saying? I got to get Tua one more season to disprove that we made a mistake.
They probably aren't going to trade Aaron Rodgers till next year,
which would be a mistake. It would be a mistake. Don't get as much because you know what? Next year it's going to be a little less. Let's say it's going to be a huge drop. But it's going to be a little less, a little more than a little less, because probably right now. You can at least get 2 1s or something else. And by something else, I mean like a 2. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you can get 3 1s with his age, but I wouldn't be hurt if you got 3 1s. But you can get 2 1s. And next year, you may be able to still get 2 1s. You may be able to get a 1 and a 2 or 2 1s and nothing else, or something that's not as like getting a second round pick. Why? Well, listen, why have that floating around this team that's going to have a younger quarterback starting, right? Going to has players in the locker rooms that say we're behind Aaron, right? Going to have a disgruntled, probably wide receivers room because you're going to have Jordan Love in there instead of Aaron Rodgers. Also, let me just say the wide receivers, the defensive players who look at themselves as being on the team that can contend and go to a Super Bowl. That's out the window now. It's like, hey, I'm here before
players that know that they're not that good of a defense if they don't have the quarterback.
Hey. You know, now we got to be out there for real, right?
Bring Aaron back now,
dude. I mean, I don't Carson Palmer this. You know what I'm saying? The crazy thing about the Carson Palmer thing is we knew he wasn't coming back. So what you waiting for then? You know what I'm saying? I mean, now if you want to prove a point, listen, only quarterbacks have this leverage, and Carson Palmer doesn't have the leverage that Aaron Rodgers had. You know what I'm saying? But only QBs really, maybe some rare skill players, you know what I'm saying? Or a crazy ass O-tackle, you know what I'm saying? A D-end of just crazy, you know, somebody on the trenches that's freaky as hell.
Nowadays, it's like quarterback or like, unless we're talking like Aaron Donald, like the best player at your position.
Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
Khalil Mack. Like
that's about
you're not going to be like edge rusher 7 Really,
Right.
like the only reason they're
Even
gonna get
edge
rid of you is because
rusher
they don't want to
3
pay
might
you.
not even be able to
Right.
get
They
away
just don't
with
want to
it.
pay. They just don't want to pay. Like they'll look at you as far as the coin that you're collecting. Like, all right, I'm gonna move off of Chandler Jones right now because I don't want to pay him like New England or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But as
Right.
far as like I'm gonna let you hold me hostage, no, but dude. But there's just why have that storyline? Why have that storyline going circulating the entire season and just what's Aaron having pictures of him on Jeopardy or in Hawaii or wherever the hell he's going to be on set of his girlfriend's series? Like, why even? And the questions. LaFleur's always gonna have to do it. Listen, what do you think, man? But what if Aaron was here? Like, it's just, you know what, you messed up, Gooden, because you messed up. You know what I'm saying? You thought he was going to have a precipitous decline, and you could sit there and just insert this player here, which this player doesn't even seem like he may be the guy in Jordan Love. And I don't care if you told Aaron Rodgers, he still was going to be pissed off. But dude, you messed up, and now you got to live with it. You said what you wanted to do. You didn't say. You showed us what you wanted to do. Now do it, right? Like, do it. It's a year earlier. You thought you would wait maybe to the third season of Jordan Love and then put him out there. Aaron Rodgers like, do it in a second. I dare you. Right? And Jordan Love, I'm going to get out your way. He also doing Jordan Love a solid. He's like, man, listen, I'm going to get out your way, bro. It's on you. All right? Deuces. Dude, it's to me, Gutekunst, he screwed the pooch. You know what I'm saying? You screwed the pooch, man. You can't have an all-time great. This isn't like Dan Marino atrophying his calf muscle. The Jags slaughtered that last year, and you're throwing him out with the baby in the bathwater. This right here is still one of the greatest quarterbacks who ever play. And you're gonna do like and freaky. It's not even it's a guy that can still get it with his legs.
Yeah.
Gutekunst, man. I know organizationally,
salute to that man.
Yeah, salute
to that man.
If you broke the Chicago curse, it's always gonna be some love for you in the South Side and the North Side. In Wrigleyville. I mean, since that encompasses everything in Wrigleyville. All the neighborhoods. When everybody asks me where I live,
ever hear
like
about
Wrigleyville. Wrigleyville South. Get your son.
You've been in the South Side too long. You missed the memo on that one.
Oh yeah, I know. All the neighborhoods. We encompass all the neighborhoods. Really, boy. If I went up there in the 70s, I would have bust my head open. And I can say that for Bridgeport too. But really, oh man. But yeah, dude, that right there, nah, man. I'm not feeling it. But you know what? Is it about that time?
It's about that time.
All right, everybody. Ryan B. Ski, brother, take us up for grabs.
A little more Aaron Rodgers, Packers talk, I guess. The Seahawks were talked about as a team reportedly interested in Julio Jones. They came to mind for me. And the Packers were that team that made a lot of sense for Julio because it would be an olive branch for Aaron Rodgers. So if you have to pick, who do you think is the biggest loser by not acquiring Julio Jones, the Seahawks or the Packers?
That's a good question. You know what? I'm going to say the Packers because one, let Russ cook. Not to say that Russ wouldn't have been. He would have been souffleing up there and sous vide, right? You souffleing and sous vide at the same time.
Ooh.
But the thing is, they need help on their defense and offensive line. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why, but we've seen how well, and Green Bay has a good receiving core. Let me say not nice. Green Bay has a good receiving core. They always have a kind of nice receiving core, even though after the top receiver, you kind of don't know the other guys. We know them in the division, but you may not know them nationally. But we've seen with Lockett what you can do out there with Metcalf and who else? No, Kurtz retired, but they got another receiver out there. I can't put my name on their third receiver out there. I think 3 of their receivers went for 1,000 this year or something like that, or close to it, right? But if you put him with Green Bay, this is why they lost. Even if maybe it's an olive branch to bring Aaron Rodgers back, right? Okay, cool. You got Aaron Rodgers back, and you got Julio. Your offense is unstoppable, right? But Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back. now you've simplified the game for Jordan Love because you got Devontae Adams on one side and Julio Jones on the other with the rest of those receivers, right?
And the running back.
Exactly. So to me, it's Green Bay because he could have either helped Aaron Rodgers stay or help Jordan Love grow faster.
I like that. I think I would go with the Packers too. But I mean, it's kind of funny. Just like we were talking about Gutekunst a minute ago, like, well, you don't want to make your star quarterback happy. They could easily bring you a Super Bowl this year. Like, I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me. You would think you'd want to make that guy happy. And that makes just a lot of sense. Like you said, it would help out Jordan Love. You have the room for it. You don't usually make the big splashes like this. So I think that they could get it done. And, you know, if you're really planning on trading away Aaron Rodgers, are you really that concerned about giving up draft picks for Julio Jones right now, especially when next year you're looking at trying to get a giant haul? So I like that answer a lot. It makes no sense to me why the Packers are just so interested in moving on from Aaron Rodgers.
They don't like him. He doesn't like them, and they don't like him. And it's like, let's jump ahead of it. Plus, we can get out of that quarterback, that huge quarterback contract, and try to win on a rookie deal. But their rookie ain't ready, or a second-year player.
Good luck in quarterback wilderness. We've been there a lot. That's a different world.
Long wilderness run that we were in.
When you come out of the woods for a while, you forget how dangerous it is in there.
Oh, I can see.
Right. You get sunlight. There's nice meadow with water streaming down, a nice spring.
Birds tweeting and whatnot. Like, oh.
And then when God tells you, hey, go back into the wilderness, you're just like, oh, okay. That's no big deal. One day you're like, get me back. Get me out of here.
Why do you have on those fig leaves? How did you find out you were naked? Green Bay.
Get out there.
Exit. So yeah, definitely. What's up next?
Well, there wasn't an exit of a fighter out of the Mayweather versus Logan Paul. They went to decision, but it was an exhibition, so no actual decision. When clearly Mayweather wins, big deal, whatever. But
you watched this too.
Yeah, but more so, it's like, what if you had to pay, which I did not.
I mean, to me, I don't trust those sites you guys were using, so it was just like I'm good. And also, I just didn't need to watch it because I knew it was trash.
But do you think that is the value gone in these boxers versus celebrities thing? Like, can they maybe come up with something more interesting? Because that was a pretty terrible fight.
I mean, boxing needs whatever it can get to bring it to the front page. But, I mean, this isn't how you challenge MMA. You know what I'm saying? Because the reason why the UFC is number one is they put the fights together of who you want to see. And boxing, if boxing did that, regardless of if consistently MMA would be number one, them boxing pay-per-views would blow that ish the fuck out the water if you had the top fighters fighting 4 times a year. You know what I'm saying? Where Crawford versus whoever, Spence or whoever you're waiting for Crawford to see. The Joshua and Wilder, Joshua and the Gypsy King.
Fury.
Canelo and moving. Like, well, if you had these fights, and they you don't have to have necessarily those boxers fight the top contender 3 times out of the year, maybe twice, but really just once. But you could use the other weight classes or the other boxers within that weight class to put another big time boxing match out. They should have 4 seasonal huge fight cards every year, period. Guys, it's like, dude, somebody's going to get hurt and we want to, not necessarily mean hurt, but these are the 2 best and we want to see it, or it's a rematch and it's a rematch that deserves these guys coming together. So it helps, but it doesn't help in the way that us real boxing fans want. But boxing needs more than just us real fans. But they wouldn't need. You always want to have a new and growing fan base with the younger generations. I mean, we go back 80 years with boxing, baseball, and horse racing was the biggest thing in the country. You know what I'm saying? But you were listening to them issues on radio, damn near. But So no, I didn't watch it. Yeah, I didn't watch it. I had very little interest in seeing it. I mean, just looking at the highlights and how Jake Paul, Logan Paul was just was swinging, just swinging. And I mean, being bigger than Floyd, cool, but then Floyd basically KO'd him and held his ass up. I'm happy listen, I'll say this. Floyd was truthful when he said, "I'm the best legal bank heist in the ever." It's facts, right? Came in, got a clean 20, probably more than that. That's just off of pay-per-views. We don't know what else.
He was saying he's going to get $100 million off this.
Okay, which is for he didn't even really have to fight to come in and grab $100 million. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, that's dope. And I'll say this: he didn't stifle. The best part about it being a hustler, he didn't hurt the other hustler because Floyd could have came in there and just stopped the Paul kid, right? Like, I don't care how much bigger this kid is. You saw what happened when he caught him behind the ear right there, right? Like, he could have stopped this kid easy, but that kid can still go on with his hustle and continue. And that's what they came to an agreement on. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jake Paul's like, I'm at the beginning. Floyd's like, listen, I'm going to help. Because Floyd helps him because he brings more wellness to this fighter, right? The same way that Manny Pacquiao helped Floyd. Now, Floyd was clearly the biggest talent draw at the time that Manny fought him. You know what I'm saying? Not Manny. I don't mean Manny. I actually mean Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya was the bank, but Floyd Mayweather was the talent bank, right? But shout out to Floyd for pulling it off. I'm not discounting what he did. I mean, he's retired. So him doing exhibitions or whatever, Ali was fighting sumo wrestlers or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, him doing that stuff is fine to me. You know what I'm saying? Because he already was one of the greatest fighters of all time. I'm not even dissing Floyd for doing it. Shout out to Floyd for coming in, getting the bag, and jumping out. But as far as boxing, and firstly, Floyd isn't the problem with boxing, but he was, because even when he was in control and he was basically his own promoter, he wasn't taking those fighters when he knew that they could get them. You know what I'm saying? He got in on Canelo early, got that money, and waited to get in on Manny. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not totally dissing him for that. I would have loved to see him and Manny 4 years earlier. You know what I'm saying? But when still,
it was supposed to. But Manny's a little cheater.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't knock some of Floyd's concerns about Manny moving up in those weight classes and still being able to just knock cats out,
and especially being caught multiple times after the initial fight.
So yeah, I mean that's my feeling. It's not for me, but I'm not knocking anybody who necessarily watches it. But I wasn't gonna pay for it, and I didn't think I wasn't gonna pay for it, and I didn't think it was that important that I need to risk catching any type of malwares on my laptop to put it on there. As soon as you was like, you need an ad block, I was like, that's it. I closed my computer. As soon as you typed that, you put that in the text group, I said, nah, man, I ain't even doing it. Right? Like, it's not, I don't even care, bro. I'm good. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? What
about D's site? D might not have needed an ad blocker.
I know for his, you needed it too. He just did. But he keeps an ad blocker on his computer though. He keeps an ad blocker prompt ready to go. So I was good off that one, man. It was fine for me. But
I like that idea that you have the 4-fight card, seasonal fight card. Like, I would love to see stuff like that. Boxing,
yeah, something.
Get it more in my face.
Great. Listen, Canelo is the guy on Cinco de Mayo. You built the card off of him, and when Canelo ages out, you do it off the next great Mexican fight. Like, there's so many different ways to do this. That it should come on now. Everybody.
And I like your idea. It doesn't have to be like rematches and championships. Maybe it's Canelo versus some whoever, but then the rest of the card is introducing us to the future.
Yes, I mean dude. If they did it right, man, boxing wouldn't be what it was even in the 80s. Even in the 80s, even if you go to the 90s when you still had some heavyweights. It wouldn't be that. But it would be big, especially when we live in a world, since we can purchase everything or consume everything a la carte. it would be appointment viewership that everyone's we're stopping for this. You're not going to watch this when you get a chance to watch it. You're going to watch it with us because it's so big. You want to watch it. You know
put
what I'm
that
saying?
thing on around 4th of July. You tell me a ton of people wouldn't just want to, hey, the barbecue's going. Let's get the fights on.
Let's get the fight. Yeah, let's get the fight. Like, dude, dude. If you put the matches on, especially if you do this for about 3 years, man, boxing is going to be bigger. And the only reason this is big is because of they need networks need appointment viewership. So like now how they're trying to reingratiate hockey into everything, which is like so ESPN and TNT, they're doing that because even though hockey's a niche sport, at least they have people that tune in because everyone's consuming stuff like when people, and this, I'm not putting us on any type of level, but when people take this in, they're gonna take this in whenever the hell they want to take it in, right? No. We need sponsors. So we need to have something that we can get a couple million people to watch, if not more than that, regularly, so that we can sit here and pay off these television contracts and things of these natures, so on and so forth. The same would be for boxing, but it'll be even bigger because you don't have it on as often, and the pay-per-views will be through the effing roof. It's too many money grubbers, man. It's holding everything up. You need some type of Dana White. They need a commissioner. Boxing needs a commissioner. It'll never happen because it should have happened so long ago, but they're doing a disservice to the splendid science.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it'd be so cool. Just thinking about that. Like 4th of July fights. Let's go.
Dude, don't get it twisted. It would be crazy. You know, I mean, dog, you already got 3 fights right now that you can build Uber cards off of from the heavyweight division, right?
Right. How often do you get that?
From Deontay Wilder to
Fury and
Fury.
Joshua.
Thank you, Fury Wilder, right? Joshua Fury, Wilder Joshua, right? And that's not even to mention the rematches between Joshua and Wilder and Joshua and Fury. Right, because we've already gotten to the 3rd one with Wilder and Fury, but so that dude, that's 5 cards right there that you could build off of, right? Like it's too easy, right? I mean, even with that could be a card, but then you could sit there, they could do those fights within the next 2.5 years. So then you could have fights built off of Jamal Crawford, Ariel, like there's too many guys.
How about get creative even?
Canelo.
Like if you want to have a celebrity boxing match, throw it in the card. If you want to get eyes on viewers.
Even with that, great point. Great point. You know what I'm saying? That's to set you up. Depending on now, if it's celebrities you really want to see, you may move it further towards the main event. But still,
let's say you had Fury Joshua as the main, and then underneath that, Paul Mayweather or something like that. And then underneath that, you got a bunch of great fights of up and coming fighters, and then you get everything in that card.
I'm with you. But the thing, I'm with you, and they still need to get viewers who don't necessarily care about boxing in. But even without that, it would be huge. But your point is valid. It would bring in even more viewers. It's got people that will watch it and perhaps see these professional fighters. But now I want to diss what the Pauls are trying. But these guys that have been doing it for a decade or more, as far as the Golden Gloves and all that, to see these guys and to fall in love with boxing. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, but it's pie in the sky, man, because it'll never work. Boxing should have done this a long time ago.
How beautiful boxing is as a sport itself.
Right. Yeah, dude.
People just really don't remember or know anymore.
Yeah, they don't care. But yeah, it's unfortunate to say the least. But you know what? We always appreciate it. We'll probably be back with a flip this upcoming week, and I'll be back with the show. Definitely make sure you don't do any crazy thing before you hear from us again. Make sure you stay hydrated as it stays humid outside. And man, just take care of your business, man. Don't. It's hard sometimes you fall down, but pick your sorry ass back up.